Like and subscribe right now, or else this will be in your bed tonight. r/AskReddit by Planet Reddit. What is the most hilariously incorrect thing a teacher told your class? If a bug was in an airplane, it would not be able to fly forward because it could not fly faster than the plane was moving. They were relatively wrong. Humans can fly at the speed of sound. Confirmed. Computer teacher told us if you use cut on an image on a website that it will be removed from the website and will upset the website maker. So be sure to use copy. This is amazing. Wonder if someone was messing with them and they've believed it ever since. It was back in like 2003. Don't think the teacher really knew what he was talking about most of the time, but got assigned to teach the class. Teachers in pop in Mavis Beacon CDs. Sodomize instead of cauterize the wound. No thank you. Doctor. It's quite the wound you've got there. Unzips pants. Doctor. Just relax. I'm a professional. Stunted breathing intensifies. My college sociology teacher said that criminality is genetic. And that if one or both of your parents are criminals, so will you be. Regardless of environmental factors. Was really pleased with himself because he thought nobody could prove him wrong. Informed him that I was adopted at birth. BC my biological father was in prison and my mother couldn't support me. And I had never commit any crime. I wouldn't even drink underage. He got flustered and angry and said you haven't yet. But you will. Joke's on him. I'm a good boy. That right there should have got him fired. What a ducker. Who's a good boy? Mr. Irrelevant. When I was in kindergarten, our homework assignment was to ask our parents what country they were from so the teacher could show us on the globe where it was. Younger me was so excited. I went home and asked my mom where she was born and she told me her family was from Malaysia. All day I practiced and practiced. I couldn't wait to share this info with my teacher. When I went to school the next day, I told my teacher that my mom is from Malaysia. With a look of utter disappointment. My teacher informed me that Malaysia was not a country. And I needed to ask my mom again. I was crushed that my mom would lie to me like that. Or that she was wrong. Either way, little me cried to her and told her that my teacher said Malaysia is not a country. So mama was not happy that I was told this and came with me to school the next day to give the teacher a piece of her mind. To this day I've never seen my mother get so red in the face while yelling at my teacher. After she was through, I quickly got an apology and a geography lesson on where Malaysia was. I had a teacher tell me the same thing, only it was a Poland. So I had to do a report on Jamaica instead. I was in 5th grade. It's not like one of the first things you learn about World War II is that Germany annexed Poland for their first strike. A teacher told me Kenya was in West Africa and then argued with me when I told her that I'm from Kenya and she is wrong. The teacher put materials from plants and materials from animals on a board. We could not convince her that wool was not a plant. Did she think sheep were a vegetable or something? She was openly ridiculing us too. I am fairly sure she thought that wool was made from cotton, as cotton wool is, but she put a hank of actual wool on the board. I grew up on a farm. Incidentally, I was not mistaken about any of this. She was just wrong. Science teacher. During the sex ed portion of the year, said all penises are the same size when it counts, that is, when erect. Classmates then asked why boobs can be different sizes. But the penis is the same for all men. Teacher them said she didn't know and that would be a question she would ask St. Peter when arriving at the pearly gates. I have a feeling the science teacher never saw more than one erect penis. Maybe that's what her husband told her. Look honey. I know Daryl is 8 inches flaccid but when he gets going it's 4 inches too. I promise. Her hubby. My grade 6 teacher told me that fatigued was in fact not a word when I used it in a short story and insisted that I looked in the dictionary. Found it in the dictionary in about 2 minutes and proved her wrong in front of the whole class. My 7th grade English teacher told me that scion wasn't a real word because I had encountered it in a fantasy book. It was part of the discipline for them to make up cool sounding words for things. Which is true. Except for the part where they still mostly use, you know, actual words. Or that words invented for a book become a part of the lexicon. For example, atomic bomb, robot, and cyberspace. 7 billion people died in World War II. 200 million Russians included. Especially impressive seeing as there were only about 2.5 billion people alive at the time. We were playing a game where you had to name a thing beginning with each letter of the alphabet. I said orangutan for O and my cookery teacher stopped and shouted, no orangutan is wrong, it starts with an A, have you ever been to a zoo and seen one? She wouldn't let me prove it and I lost the game because of it. It's been 7 years and I still can't forget it. I just want to know what seeing one has to do with learning how to spell its name. They all have name tags that state their species. Have you not been to a zoo? When transferring schools. Teacher. So you're from Mexico. Me. No. I'm from New Mexico. Teacher. Got it. So you're Mexican. Was the student visa program difficult? Me. No visa needed. I'm from New Mexico. It's between Texas and Arizona. Teacher. Did you live near cartels? This was an American history class in high school. My wife moved from New Mexico to Washington State in middle school. The number of classmates who had asked her if she had a green card or if she spoke Spanish is humorously depressing. Edit. Clarified Washington State, not DC. How can teachers be so dense? Like, goddamn it. That Tsarina was the first name of the wife of Tsar Nicholas I of Russia and not a title. She understood that Tsar was Nicholas' title and not his name, but could not apply the same logic to Alexandra. She insisted that Tsarina was her given name. And no amount of arguing would change her mind. I'm still annoyed about this 20 years later. I remember when I found out that judges are sometimes given the title of justice. I was about 8 and there was a judge character in a book I was reading. It said something like Justice Thompson replied. I thought, wow, what a coincidence to be named Justice and end up becoming a judge. I articulated those thoughts to a teacher who then called me an idiot. Deoxygenated blood is blue. Oxygenated blood is red. That's why your veins look blue. But if you draw blood it is red. I don't know how many people thought this was true, but I swear I heard it multiple times from several teachers during elementary school. I thought this was true until you just told me it wasn't. Not really hilarious but definitely dangerous. She taught us inflammable meant non-flammable. After correcting her immediately, she made me sit at the back of the class and go through the dictionary to find the word for non-flammable after refusing to believe me and having embarrassed her. I was only 10. Petty Beach. Inflammable means flammable? What a country. I grew up in England but did part of my high school in the US. One of the teachers there organized a thing where we were volunteered to read stories to elementary school kids. After reading my story, I guess the teacher felt the need to make note of my accent to the class. She asked me to tell the kids where I was from. I said I'm from England and she did that thing teachers do where she repeats the info to the kids but she says, did you hear that, kids? She's from England. That's in London. I tried a little bit of a correction actually. I'm from England. And she just repeats to the kids, yes kids. England. That's in London. I was too shy at that age to call her out on it but it still makes me cringe to this day. England is my city. Had a history teacher who said you could easily shoot a longbow a mile. I told she was wrong and to prove a point she phoned my dad, a longbow instructor. Then she straight up lied to the class and said he'd agreed with her assuming I wouldn't find out, I guess. Step 1. Attach the longbow to an artillery shell. That a Big Mac from McDonald's overwhelms your stomach with so much of everything that it doesn't register you've eaten anything and that's why you get hungry again so quickly after. Ooh, I'm overwhelmed by what you just said, I'll go get a Big Mac. In 7th grade when we were studying the Holocaust, my teacher told me that the swastika was made when Hitler took the cross and broke its points to show the world he was above God. That would be a much more badass explanation, but definitely not true. English is my second language, and during English class, one of the students asked her what did lion cub mean. She says it means lion cube. No, it doesn't make any more sense in my native language. When you freeze a lion to put in your drink, then the dogs evolved longer faces so they could smell things around corners. I think my dog evolved even more because his nose is in a right angle. This one is my favorite. My economics teacher said that simple interest and compound interest were the same thing. I spoke up about it in class and she took me into the hallway and told me not to disagree with her again. Don't teach something incorrectly again. 1 plus I, n is the same as 1 plus in. Like. It's in the formula. Beach. What is you doing? You don't need to know about periods yet because you aren't 16. I was 12 and had had them for a year. I feel like talking to young women about bodies is something that only really started getting taken seriously in the past 20 years. Before the late 50s it was deemed to be improper to use the word pregnant or to be pregnant in public. We got taught in science that our tongues have different areas of taste. Had to do an experiment where we put a sugar cube lemon on different parts of the tongue, etc. Supposedly we had a sour area, a sweet area and so on. So putting lemon on the sweet part of your tongue would mean it wouldn't taste sour/bitter. Well, I spent that whole experiment thinking it didn't matter where I put it all tasted the same. I said that and the teacher looked at me like I was being purposefully disruptive. The rest of the class said it worked. I figured something was wrong with my tongue. Years later I heard they debunked that theory. Edit. Just want to add. A lot of you are mentioning kindergarten. We got taught this in high school. I am being serious. Granted it was early high school so ages 12-13ish. But still. I'm English BTW. So maybe in England we learn fake science later in life. The rest of the class said it worked. Probably placebo effect. I also tried it out as a kid and was super annoyed that it didn't work. So I just ate all the ingredients. Edit. I did the experiment at home. I am not as cool as you guys think. She showed us the flag of the United Kingdom and said this is the flag of America. We had a substitute try and locate Russia on a map of the US. I mean, she's not wrong. Rule Britannia. How to count by twos. 2, 12, 22, 32. I had a teacher that swore that Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad was a physical railroad that ran under the ground. Once a horse closes its mouth, its jaw locks and it is literally impossible for a human to open its mouth again. I lost it. I work and lived around horses my entire life. All you do is put your finger in the side of the horse's mouth where they have no teeth and voila. They open their mouth. Like how do you think a bit is put in their mouth, stupid English teacher? She told this fact to our class when she told a story about her friend getting her hand broken trying to feed a horse and the horse got her hand stuck in its mouth. Maybe the horse just bit her. That caffeine isn't a drug. Apparently because according to her, you couldn't get addicted to it. Oh man. Did she not see that Saved by the Bell episode? Not only is it addictive, it's even regulated by the Olympics. 3 treated like any other drug in your system. I'm so excited that the word Q didn't exist. One of my first teachers told the class that the sea is blue because it's a reflection of the sky. That same teacher, later in the year, told the same class that the sky was blue because it was a reflection of the sea. We lived on land. The sky should be green or brown. The sea, being only a reflection of a reflection, should be copying that green or brown. I pointed this out, began to present the correct answer, and was promptly sent out of the room for being disruptive. While teaching Japanese history, my teacher was entirely convinced that the suicide of a Japanese samurai was called sudoku instead of seppuku. Your teacher is correct. The shamed samurai carved 81 squares into his chest before meticulously painting the numbers 1 through 9 on his chest in a difficult to discern pattern. The samurai would often die part way through the process. To restore his honor, the family would have to finish the pattern before burial. Reddit. What are some things that sound true but are absolutely fake? Sound moves really fast, so distance doesn't matter. You can hear something just as well from across the room as if you were sitting next to the noisy thing, because it takes less than a second for the sound to reach you. My science teacher freshman year told us there was air in space. She also told us that that's how rockets are able to fly. The fire behind them burns air and space to push them forward. All lights are outfitted with cameras for the government. So we shouldn't use them. What a dark world he must live in. Dark have been his dreams of late. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for 3 videos a day.